Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this pre-housing summit meeting. As you all know, this has been initiated by the offices of Congressman Albi Benitez and yours truly. And there have been a series of meetings that have been conducted so far, no? And we are getting there, but we just have to discuss some things, no? And iron out some details. So this afternoon, the chair would like to acknowledge, of course, my partner in this endeavor, Congressman Albi Benitez, and different heads of agencies who are here. Thank you very much. No? First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for your cooperation. To start the ball rolling, I would like to ask Congressman Albi, you might have some opening statements for this afternoon's meeting.
Thank you, Senator JV. It's true that this is one of the first joint endeavor being undertaken by both houses, the lower house and upper house. That's because, of course, both the senator and the congressman are partners in crime. So I hopefully that this will come out to be a very fruitful arrangement, especially for the topic that we are discussing right now. And of course, we'd like to welcome fresh from the U.S. Ma'am, galing ba kayong U.S.? Hindi. Anyways, Senator JV, thank you. Then that will be all.
Thank you, Congressman Benitez. Before we go on, the chair would like to acknowledge Senator Nancy Binay. Thank you very much, Madam, for joining us this afternoon. Attorney Jopet Sison, probably you can already brief everybody of the status, no, of the summit, upcoming summit.
Thank you, Senator JV. Before proceeding, Senator, we have invited our guests if we could allow them to introduce themselves so that their presence could also be put on record. If you could start on my left.
Hello. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Bernice Soriano from the World Bank.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Miguel Ferrido from the World Bank.
Good afternoon. I'm Jojo Carandang from the Social Housing Finance Corporation.
Good afternoon. I'm Anthony Villamor from OSHDAP.
Good afternoon. I'm Luisita Maymone on behalf of Director Saki from HUDCC.
Hi, I'm Ana Mirador in behalf of Attorney Tolentino from HUDC.
Good afternoon. I'm Beth Lampas from SHEDA.
Good afternoon. I'm Rodel Racadio from SHEDA.
Good afternoon. I'm Charmin Albacete from CREBA.
Good afternoon. I'm Charlie Goreb, CREBA.
Good afternoon. Toti Carino, CREBA.
Good afternoon. I'm Linda Hornilia from the HLURB.
Good afternoon. Antonio Bernardo, HLURB.
Good afternoon. Angie from the DILG Informal Settler Program.
Good afternoon. Derma Karimit from the Land Management Bureau, DNR.
Roylan Campitan from NHA.
Corazon Corpus of Home Guarantee Corporation.
Good afternoon. I'm Rafael De Los Santos, Home Guarantee Corporation.
Ng ugnayan lakas ng mga apektadong pamilya sa baybayin ng Ilog Pasig. Secretary.
Good afternoon. My name is Celia Santos, representing Urban Poor Associates, NGO for Land and Housing Rights.
Good afternoon, Princess Esponilia from Urban Poor Associates.
Good afternoon. I'm Filomena Cinco from Estero de San Miguel, Barangay Chairman of Sampaloc, Manila.
Good afternoon. I'm Analia Aliana from Pag-ibig Fund.
Felix Bustos po from National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation.
Magandang hapon po. Siegfried Lapasaran from National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation.
As mentioned, this is an initiative of the Joint Committee of the Senate Committee on Urban Planning, Housing and Resettlement, and the Congress Committee on Housing and Urban Development Summit. The objectives of the Housing Summit is to bring together the government and the private sector and the various stakeholders involved in the housing sector. The intention is for us to come up with immediate interventions for the informal settler families, specifically those residing within in-city resettlements. The intention is for immediate and medium-term focus for intervention for in-city housing, as well as long-term policies and reforms which are needed in the legislative and executive department. The primary output of the summit would be two. One is a policy paper enumerating the policy reforms that we intend to implement. This is both for the legislative and the executive department. And number two, a specific program implementing various prototype projects. So one is a policy paper, and the second is a program specific implementation for prototypes. The process is through the creation of 4 thematic groups. There will be a thematic group on land and housing, a group on socialized housing finance, the thematic group on participatory governance and urban development. We will, the main theme will be making in-city housing a reality. So the process would be for all 4 thematic groups to concurrently meet throughout this period of 6 to 8 months, for them to concurrently meet, discuss the issues, consolidate, and report this to the Joint Committee, for the Joint Committee to validate, and if there would be needed legislation or executive action, then the Joint Committee of Congress and Senate will be the ones to give their imprimatur on the products and reports of the various committees. The arrangement would be, for the summit, it would be headed by a steering committee. The steering committee is composed of the chairman of the Joint Committee, Senator Ejercito, and Congressman Benitez, as well as the head of the different thematic groups. We will be discussing the head of the different thematic groups in the further slides. That will be the steering committee. There will be a panel of international and local experts. This would be engaged and designated by World Bank. Each lead institution who will be leading the thematic groups shall be responsible for calling the meetings, setting their agenda and issues, and managing the discussions and the flow of issues during their meetings. There will also be a core secretariat. The core secretariat is composed of the staff and personnel of the Joint Senate and Congress Committee, as well as the technical experts to be engaged by the World Bank. The roles of the core group and lead organizations in the thematic group discussions: the Joint Congressional Committee shall be in charge of inviting and setting the dates of the meetings, to prepare the committee meetings and the results of the thematic groups, and to monitor the progress of the thematic groups. World Bank shall provide the technical expertise, the technical consultants, consolidate the documentation, as well as co-finance the venue, food, and logistics. The lead agencies, which we have invited here, would act as facilitator during the thematic group. They will schedule the group meetings and together with World Bank consolidate the reports. They will be responsible for reporting the results to the Joint Committee of the Congress and the Senate. Because this is an initiative of the Legislative Department, the Joint Congressional Committees shall be meeting once a month during this period of the summit, so that every report and every product of the thematic groups as consolidated would now be submitted to the Joint Congressional Committees for validation and for immediate action if necessary. The thematic groups would be, as I have mentioned, land and housing. The initial issues we have identified there is for the group to identify the available land for housing, for in-city housing, as well as provide access to these lands. Also under this group would be discussions on possible solutions to affordable housing production. So if there would be new technology and new systems that we can propose that would provide for cheaper construction, then this would be the venue for it. The lead for the land and housing will be DENR, and the co-lead would be the Urban Poor Associates. We have distributed copies of the PowerPoint so that here you could see the members for the thematic group on land and housing. For socialized housing finance, this would now address the gap in housing finance schemes and augment public investments in low-income housing sectors. The lead for socialized housing finance is HUDSI, and the co-lead is the UP School of Economics. Again, the members are presented there, representing government, private sector, CSOs, academies, and the development partners. For governance, the issue here would be, the suggested issue would be the streamlining and incentivizing of efforts of key public institutions involved in housing, as well as other measures that we can adopt as part of government to fast-track the process of granting permits and access to land. In participatory governance, the lead is DILG, the co-lead is the League of Cities of the Philippines. For the last thematic group, which is urban development, the issue here is to address the shelter challenges from the lens of building inclusive cities. So it is a comprehensive study of possible new cities and how we can open up new cities to in-city housing or to housing for the informal sector. For the thematic group on urban development, the lead is NEDA and the co-lead is CREBA. The approach, this would be discussions anchored on limited number of specific real-life cases. So aside from adopting policy reforms related to housing, we intend to come up with specific, detailed housing projects addressing the in-city housing needs of informal settler families. We intend to come up with prototypes, so thematic group discussions should not only focus on policies, but likewise specific housing projects. There have been initial proposed projects which we will be distributing to the thematic groups, so that from here they can work out the possibility of adopting these suggested projects as their prototypes. It is the intention of the summit to go to details, so that from the details we can see the specific problems that we will encounter, and for us to resolve them as a summit and as a body, and from that resolution to come up with policy papers and policy reforms. The timeline of activities. The Housing Summit is set to launch on May 27, 2015. And after the launch, we will convene the joint committee of the Senate and the Congress, so that the joint committee can formally designate and create the 4 thematic groups, and the joint committee can give the assignments to the thematic groups. After that joint session, World Bank and the technical experts will be conducting learning sessions on the themes. This will be from May to June. And from there, starting June, the thematic working groups shall commence their sessions and their meetings. The National Housing Summit is expected to culminate in February of 2016. And from there, we will synthesize all reports and all executive and legislative actions as the product of the National Housing Summit. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, thank you, Sir Jopet. So we'll probably be on the same page. I'm sure most of you are trying to understand what is our specific role with regard to the Housing Summit. Now, take note, this is a pre-Housing Summit because we intend to launch the summit this coming May 27. We would like to get everybody to at least be on the same page as we move forward in this project that we're talking about. No? If I'm not mistaken, we had a few discussions, Senator JV and I had a few discussions with CREBA, and then we had also a few discussions with the other private organization regarding this. We would just like to get your comments right now, so that when we move forward, we understand that everybody is with us in this. No? So, Mr. Carino, we based on our original concept, let us just stick to the primary objective of this effort, which is really finding solution to the perennial problems that has been facing the housing industry. And we took it upon ourselves to call for a summit where we will converge all stakeholders to find once and for all solution that can eliminate or eradicate the problem that has been perennially hounding the housing sector. And to that note, we have subdivided the issues into 4, namely land, financing, governance, and urban development. So we have 4 thematic topics to tackle the issues of the housing sector. Maybe anybody would be free to comment at this point, no? Just on the concept alone and on the approach of tackling the concept. Mr. Carino, yes.
Yes, good afternoon, Congressman, Senator, good afternoon. First of all, we'd like to congratulate the Secretariat who has really put substance into the flesh of the discussions by putting the four topics with the respective agencies of government participating there. It's a good start, Congressman, and I think there are certain topics there, for example, on urban and housing, on the thematic, on urban development. There are so much to be discussed just on that topic alone, but there are other topics that can be made relevant also on another thematic grouping which can be found in land and housing. So I don't know how we're going to create some synergy or a more clear-cut delineation on this one.
The 4 topics is supposed to encompass all the issues involved. So basically what we're trying to get consensus here is, do we agree that the 4 thematic topics that has been presented technically covers the whole issue that we intend to tackle in this housing summit?
Yes, definitely. These are the 4 major topics that really concerns the industry.
So if we're in agreement that this is the four, then we can move forward, and start, I think, naming people who will be responsible and accountable on those particular topics. Right?
Incidentally, before we move on, Congressman Benitez and all those present, we are very lucky, I mean, we're very happy that the World Bank is very much supportive of the Housing Summit. In fact, they will be funding the Housing Summit. But it has been observed also, I'd like to address this to the different agencies, at least you are here already present. They observed that during the meetings, the previous meetings, different representatives are being sent by the agencies. So we're hoping that if by this afternoon, if you can assign a point person, kasi nangyayari tuwing magkakaroon ng meeting, iba pinadala, hindi alam kung anong pinag-usapan. So it seems that they feel that we are not serious about this. So I hope that we can trash this out before we end this afternoon, and you can, all the agencies concerned, could now assign a point person regarding this para at least consistent tayo. I hope you take note of this as we go on. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Very noteworthy observation. I think to make this thing really move forward with a greater impact, we will probably have to put time and effort in this endeavor, so that we will probably get the objective that we are seeking. On that note, let me just recap it. As far as the thematic topics that have been presented, we are okay with the four sectors, or the four themes. Land, financing, governance, and urban development. Let me explain it a little bit. Land is self-explanatory. Everybody understands the meaning of land. Financing, again, is probably very clear. It pertains to money matters for the program. Governance is actually being defined here as government policies, regulations that needs to be altered, amended, streamlined, or probably totally changed as to meet the objective that we have discussed in the previous or in the other thematic topics. Urban development is more broader in a sense. It discusses, my understanding here, it discusses more on the planning aspect of the housing sector, where we will probably look for a long-term solution in policy making for urban planning. For example, Senator JV is very adamant in ensuring a mass transit system is actually in place to augment the programs of government for decongesting urban cities and trying to make sense of the off-city program of our national government. So that's where it falls, urban development. So if we are clear with those thematics and we are acceptable with it, the next issue here is we would like to put somebody in charge so that we have a person or a group of persons who will be responsible for taking it to the next level, or taking it to meeting the end goal of the summit. And we have identified initially, we will probably mention this, and if there is no objection, that means that you have accepted it wholeheartedly. And kumbaga touch move na, hindi na pwede magpalit na. But of course, if there are any proposals otherwise, please feel free. This would be the venue where we can probably discuss who would be in a better position to bring these themes forward. No? I think we have for land DNR as our lead agency together with Urban Poor Associates. We have DNR here. Oh, yes,
sir. Good afternoon po. Previously, the Land Management Bureau was tasked by our Secretary, Secretary Pahe, of the DNR to represent or attend in yung series meetings ng preliminary meetings of the Housing Summit. So, after the last meeting, which was in Congress, that was, I think, last March, sir, we sent a memorandum to the Secretary to inform him of the status of the Housing Summit and the preparation of the Housing Summit. And because Land Management Bureau is just a member here, so we asked for a clearance from the Secretary who will be the one to sit or a representative as or a focal person na mag-lead from the DNR, because the DNR is a big department. So until now, we're still waiting for the clearance from the Secretary. So we have already sent the template for the invitations for the members. So we're still awaiting for the clearance. Once the Secretary will clear the everything that we have informed him, that will be the time na magsiset po kami ng parang initial
acceptance
meeting or acceptance. Pero sir, accepted na kasi from the previous meeting po, wherein nakakapag-attend na rin po ako. Okay naman po na DNR ang mag-lead for the thematic group number 1. However, ang inaas na lang po namin ngayon is for the Secretary to appoint a certain official, higher official, para maging focal natin. Kasi kami po yung lead agency, the DNR. So,
okay, so in other words, we are awaiting the formal appointment by the Secretary who would be the point person or focal person who will be dealing with us as far as the Housing Summit is concerned.
Precisely, sir.
And
maybe in the next week, kasi last week pa po, or this week, tsaka last week po, parang nakikipag-coordinate na po kami sa Office of the Secretary. And we were assured that by next week siguro, sir.
Sabi daw ni Senator Binay, baka pwede daw tomorrow or Monday.
Sige po, ma'am. We will try.
And likewise,
makakarating po.
If you could relate to the Secretary to appoint somebody who will really be able to decide.
Yes.
Hindi yung tuwing meeting, tatanong ko muna kay Secretary. Yung right there and then,
yes,
they can decide that he has the authority, he or she has the authority to decide for the department.
Noted, sir.
Kasi, siguro, kasi Senator, if DNR will have a hard time assigning a point person, maybe we can assign to a different government agency who can take the lead, di ba?
Siguro hindi naman. I don't think
naman,
they'll have a hard time.
Hindi naman po, ma'am.
It's just, ayaw lang niya pangunahan siguro si Secretary. That's the reason.
Kasi po, dito po sa composition ng thematic group number 1, Land Management Bureau po kasi, member, pero kami lang po kasi yung pinapa-attend ni Secretary. So, every time nag-a-attend kami ng meeting, ina-apprise namin siya.
Yes. If I'm not mistaken, I think by end of this month, the DNR should have finished all the cadastral mapping of the whole country, no?
We are already preparing our report for the SONA.
That's right. So that will actually expedite the process of really identifying the lands where we can probably put housing programs. And ma'am, if you would really hear from NHA, from the other departments that have been tasked to provide housing units, ang una-una nilang tinatanong parati saan yung lupa. And if we can have that identification on where we can put it, it will really make it easier for the programs to be implemented. And since you are really in the thick of it, it is but logical that you are to be the lead agency as far as land is concerned. In other words, ma'am, we just want to make sure that there is land for the housing programs to be established or created.
Noted, sir.
And siguro we have the urban poor to be a co-lead in the thematic topic. So at least yung mga lupa na available, maalaman nila kung ano ang babagay ng for housing at anong hindi. Yes.
Sir, we welcome our participation for the thematic group on land and housing. We were just informed this morning about our participation, but definitely our organization would welcome our participation consistently because we have been really working together with you for a year now on the land and issues on UDA in particular. So if we may not say yes in totality over the responsibilities said here, but I think we would be working closely, but I could not affirm all of this that has been identified for Ubanpur to do as co-lead for the land and housing.
Just so that we put it in a proper frame of mind, there will be other members in the thematic topic, and of course the steering committee, the secretariat from the Senate and the House will always be there.
Okay.
And then you have also World Bank who also will be there in guiding and providing the technical assistance and support that we would need as far as the issues are concerned. So it is really having you there so that we have a convergence, as I've said earlier, of all the stakeholders involved, and when they tackle the issues, we did not leave anybody behind, we did not consult, we did not miss anybody as far as coming up with the concept, with the solution or whatsoever.
Okay, in that case, sir, we accept the co-lead for the land and housing.
Oh, thank you. Yes. And yes, Mr. Carino.
Yeah, just an observation and a clarification on the matter of the language on the objectives of the Housing Summit. It states here there are two objectives. One is directed towards the ISF and low income in city housing in Metro Manila. That's the first objective. And the second objective is also to meet the housing backlog. But in meeting the housing backlog, we would like to reiterate that the housing backlog is not only present in the low-income groups, but the housing backlog are also present in middle-income groups and other segments of housing. So in relation to that, Congressman, we would like to point out that in the thematic groups, for example, of land and housing, it states here that this thematic group will be, among other things, identifying land suitable for socialized housing, and of course, bottlenecks on the utilization of public and private lands for housing. Would it mean that private lands for housing need not necessarily be for the low-income group? And as such, addressing constraints in BP 220 should not only be limited to addressing it to BP 220, but rather also to PD 957.
Thank you, Mr. Carino, and it is good to note that somebody is reading the materials that we have given out. No? Very good point, and I think we would like to refine that. And basically, what we would say is the main objective of this housing summit is to tackle the issue of housing backlog. Period. No, let us be more general in the approach, which is really basically the primary concept that to begin with, and why we have put up this summit is really to tackle the issue of housing backlog. So it is both on the socialized component as well as the formal sector. So it's both informal and formal sector that we will approach this, because it is not only the informal sector that is actually bereft of housing units. We even have, some of our middle class that could not afford, and which is one of the reasons why this housing summit has been put as a convergence of everyone together with the private sector, is because we note that even the middle class has a hard time affording the current housing pricing. No? So we would like to again find solutions for that and tackle it on a macro level. So maybe what we can do is we will just say it is designed, the objective of the summit is to solve the housing backlog of the country.
One last thing, Congressman, thank you very much for clarifying on that one. On the discussion on thematic group, the other theme is called socialized housing finance. We respectfully ask that the socialized be dropped, but the title should be housing finance.
Yes. So we will tackle both the informal and formal sector in this case. Very good point, Mr. Carino. Thank you very much. So let's move on. We have the second thematic topic would be finance. In this case, we have HUDC. We have HUDC here. Senator Binay, baka kayo magano ng HUDC. Ayun. Okay, we have, yes.
For this housing financer, in behalf of our chairman, maybe Yusek Alba can accept this as the leader for the housing finance.
Si Yusek Alba ang
Yes, sir,
magiging
because of
point
the
person
term of
natin.
VP, yes, sir.
In other words, you accept, no?
In behalf
Sa bagay, wala naman kayong choice eh.
Yes, sir.
So
Kasi all the KA housing agency are already members, sir.
Yes, okay. So we will now communicate with Yusek Alba.
Yes, sir.
As far as the thematic topic of finance on this summit.
Yes, sir.
No, that will be co-lead with the UP School of Economics. Wow. Do we have that here? Okay. Yeah. I think they were informed, but they are not present. Anyway, one of the reasons why I think it would be a very what do you call this? A very wise move for the legislative branch to pursue this housing summit. It is because it has a very compelling invitation when we send letters of invitation to people who would like to participate in this. So we will probably, the Secretariat will probably get in touch with them and again advise and solicit their consent for this, no? The School of Economics. So reason why HUDC is the lead person or agency in the finance thematic is because I think Pag-ibig is also under you. No? We have Pag-ibig here, no? Dito ba Pag-ibig? Yes. And all the other shelter agencies. Tama ba?
We also have National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation, the Home Guarantee Corporation, and all the shelter agencies under. They're not part. And the Socialized Housing Corporation.
Okay. So which makes you the most viable logical agency to lead this this theme. And then next we have governance.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, before we move on, with your permission, since HLRB has been made a member of the 3 thematic groups, pwede kayang lubusin na natin. We also like to volunteer for the housing finance group because we are also crafting rules on financing of housing finance. So we might as well join the discussions.
Attorney Bernard, you're more than welcome. In fact, would you like to join the Secretariat? We will also welcome you. No. And of course, every hearing was, Mr. Chair, the Attorney Bernardo has always been present and never missed an invitation by the House. No? So we would be honored to have you present in all of the thematic topics. And moving forward, of course, we're going to governance, and the LG has been chosen as the lead agency in this aspect.
Thank you, sir. We have been chosen. We will do our part. We'd like to check lang, sir. This is not. I just want to see the scope of the work. No, we're not going to alter housing policies, right? Our work will just be on improving the community participation in governance. So we would like to check kung kayang ilimit yung scope, because the housing policy could, everybody's an expert. For the community participation, I think that's one of the highlights of the summit, where we bring in the civil society organizations in governance as well. Am I correct po, sir?
Actually, we did not think of it that way, where it would be limited in really just community participation. We thought of really tackling the whole whole issue as far as governance is concerned. There may be policies, regulations, or even laws that are actually counterproductive to the industry. So which we can probably recommend some changes, amendments, refinements as we move along. And maybe what we can do is we can put another co-lead there as to guide the other aspect. No? If you feel that it will be outside your expertise as far as governance is concerned. What do you suggest?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the guidance. Because the theme participatory governance was chosen for a reason. So it wasn't just to do a review of policies. So you chose the term participatory to bring in as many partners into the summit as possible. So yes, I'm going to consider that when we do the discussions, to involve as many partners as possible.
Yes, definitely. We would like actually the participation of everyone involved. Now, when we talk of stakeholders, it is not just government, it's not just NGO, it's not just the private sector, but even the general public themselves. No, we would like them to be part of this summit, and we would like to give them a buy-in right into this, so that when we move and when government starts looking at programs to implement in the housing sector, that general public is aware on what has been mapped out from emanating from this summit that we are holding.
Thank you, sir. So, yes, sir.
Likewise, Attorney, with the DLG's participation, we also would like to ask you to make the League of Cities, League of Municipalities be involved also, because they will be crucial in the identification of possible lands, no, that can be utilized for the socialized housing or the other housing developments that we may that the committee may identify.
Thank you very much, sir. So on behalf of the ALG, we will accept this task and we will give you the name of our permanent representative and alternate.
Since the LCP, the League of Cities, are really under your... Nandito, okay. Yes, but aren't you also within the ambit of the ALG? Di ba? So parang one whole family na rin kayo, di ba? So when we deal with the ALG, we are dealing with you, no? So would it be, in the indulgence of the members present here today, a suggestion if we can involve one of the private groups to be part of governance? Mr. Carino, some of your organization, di ba? Kasi marami kayong ano dyan eh, di ba? Governance, in fact,
definitely we have many concerns there. So we would welcome your invitation for us to join you there.
Who would it be? Would it be Kreba, whoever, or...
Sir, we'd like to form part of the committee there for the
OSHDAP.
As OSHDAP.
Okay. So, lahat na lang para walang away. So we'll just put the private sector as co-lead in this. I think that would be one of your major concerns, right? Which is you'd like really to participate. Okay lang ba sa inyo? Lahat kayo sabay-sabay, or?
Yes, sir.
Or ayaw mo makasama sila?
No. We all work together naman, sir.
Yeah, we're okay with that.
You're okay with that. So okay with tayo, ha? Alright, so then we'll put it in the private sector. Okay, may kasama kayo. I think the private sector would be very eager in joining hands with you so that we will arrive with a very conclusive, talagang participatory na lang. Okay, and last but not the least, the urban, yes, AGM.
I promise Mr. Jopet Season I will not ask a question. He used to be the AGM of NHA. So he already warned me. But I can't help but mention one of the items here when it says in the participatory governance, the need to revisit the mandate and structure of NHA and Socialized Housing Finance Corporation. I need to know exactly the background by only two housing agencies, no? Where various housing agencies and maybe support and other support agencies to housing. Kasi parang it's very limiting unless AGM, Mr. Jopet Season would really wish to underscore only two entities. Because this might be just limiting it to two entities. I think we should cover, if it's really reviewing the mandates of all those involved in housing, perhaps you would wish to cover all those housing agencies plus those that are support to housing, because that would really impact on how we can move us.
Hey, Jem, I think if I'm not mistaken, one of the discussion we had with World Bank and some other groups, they feel that the off-city resettlement program that's being undertaken by government right now, where we put a resettlement program that is actually far away from their place of livelihood, place of work, is actually producing negative results, or it's counterproductive to the idea of providing housing for them. So I think that is one of those structures that they'd like to revisit, which is why what we've explained that already. I think we've discussed this at length, and it is one of the reasons why this housing summit was also thought of, was because we were trying to figure out if we can really give our informal settlers an in-city program where they will be able to live in places where they are actually situated right now.
Yes, sir, if I may. It would look like, in my own appreciation of the outline, it would be better that it be discussed in the issue of land and housing, the reason why our agency is embarking on off-city, or we call it near city, no, because they are in the periphery of Metro Manila, is because of the issue of land. So probably it might be more fitting to, like what we did in the several sessions, sir, you underscore that we have a lot of public lands in Metro Manila. But to underscore the two agencies in the review might not what we wish to cover comprehensively. Because it was really the issue of land, that's why we had to go off city or near city. Sorry for that interjection.
Anyway, those are not cast in stone. Those are the possible issues that can be taken up. Whether they are valid or not, that can be really tackled on the thematic group level. No, so that's something that we can really tackle based on the structure that we are organizing today. No? So mga issues na kasi yun eh. We're just still focusing on the membership and the structure on how the summit will move after the launch. Now, for the information of everybody, this is not an ordinary summit, because the summit that we know of is usually 2-3 days, and then people go back to their own comfort zone and they forget exactly what has been discussed in the summit until we are reminded again after a couple of years, and then we do it all over again. In this case, the summit will be different because it will be a process. Now we have a launching, and then we have breakout groups where they will discuss, deliberate, and find viable solutions to solve the problems on a continuing basis until we culminate in a summit where each of the stakeholders involved, and hopefully we gather all of them, sign off and put a commitment to the implementation and to properly institutionalize what we have discussed on the summit process itself.
My last and final comment. Perhaps it would be good to review the existing housing programs. And that might really check whether the in-city theme fits into our housing program. So it would be nice to have that topic to evaluate whether in fact we are really pushing forward to that reality of in-city. And if it does not, then the issues which be surfaced and appropriate housing or interventions would be appropriately be done. And in fact, it would redirect a lot of things that we are probably doing now that seem to be not compatible with the way we want to move forward. So I'd rather put it in that context when I wanted to add up another area of concern rather than evaluating the structure. Maybe it's the program, because form follows structure. Eh? So after the when this is already properly aligned, then the structure will come.
Thank you, AGM. That is exactly the things that we would like to hear when we convene in the governance thematic topic. Yes.
If I may suggest, sir, one way of resolving this is to go with what are the desired principles based on the experiences of many housing agencies. Take all of these principles and then look at the key shelter agencies, including NHA and SHFC, and see if the mandates are still timely and adaptable to the present times. And then that's when we propose changes.
Attorney, that is exactly what we're trying to do here. And that is exactly what we want to happen. And if we continue this on the same light and in the same passion as you have given it today, then I think it will be a very successful endeavor holding this National Housing Summit. That's exactly what we want to happen.
Actually, that's really the objective of coming up with the summit. No? Kasi through the years, all the agencies, the private organizations have been doing their own thing. Na wala ho tayo nung yung comprehensive, yung whole. We're hoping that we will be able to coordinate everything. That we will have hopefully once and for all na magkaroon talaga ng isang master plan, no? That all the agencies, the government agencies, the private sector will be together. So that's the aim naman of this housing summit. So hopefully from now on that we can all work together. If this becomes successful, then from now on we can say that if we all work together, pag mayroong synergy, then we can produce results, no? Kasi nakaingit, if we go to other countries, talagang if you could see their development, hindi lang yung magkakaroon sila ng housing development far out, tapos walang livelihood, wala silang commercial areas. Sila, when they develop, it's all pati transport, ngayon nabanggit ni Congressman Benitez, yung transport, yung livelihood, yung commercial centers, it's all together, it's all there, no? So we're hoping that this time around, hindi na yung basta gagawa tayo ng housing project somewhere just to comply with RA 7279. Tapos, in the end, dahil walang livelihood, ibebenta rin, mag-i-squat na naman. So, it will just be a vicious cycle. So, that's what we want to end, no, with this housing summit. Hopefully, from now on, through the initiative of the House and the Senate, hopefully we can coordinate everything. Thank you.
Yeah, but before everything, I'd like to greet belated happy birthday to Senator Nancy. Hinihintay namin yung pagkain.
Thank you. Na-pressure ako magpakain.
Last May 12. Okay, then let's move on. So, I mean, it's good. I think as we move forward, people are starting to get the concept and the gist of this summit, and both the upper and lower houses will make ourselves available for the continuous process and meetings to get the holistic approach that Senator JV has just mentioned. Of course, it's a holistic approach with much detailed and much comprehensive coordination with all the stakeholders involved, so that we do not leave any stone unturned, and we probably have a very good grasp of what is viable and what can be done. So moving forward, we have urban development, and the proposal here, lead agency would be NEDA. Is NEDA here? Ayun, ma'am, kakadating nyo lang, no? Nakaupo ba kayo doon?
Thank you, sir. NEDA will be honored to participate in this activity, sir. It's just that maybe urban development, the topics under urban development could still be tightened. What is it that we want to happen under this thematic group? And I think this is the only theme that will not be able to deliver short or medium term outcomes. So maybe there's a need to tighten. And if we look at development across the country, it is not balanced. So there's a need to address balancing development. Actually, this topic is very comprehensive. And we've tried to address this by coming up with a national spatial strategy for the Philippines. And in the next few months, NEDA will be embarking on a long-term visioning exercise, which would address balancing development across special areas in the country. So I think this will not only address issues like urban development only, or infrastructure development, but I think given guidance from the expert, we could tighten the topic to address to support the other thematic groups, yung tatlo: governance, financing, and land. What's that? The other one? The first theme. But we'll be happy to, I think we're committed to support you in this endeavor. It's just that we cannot yet identify who will be leading the thematic group from NEDA, because if it's planning, then we have a USEC for that. If it will entail infrastructure development, transport networks, there would be another USEC for that, and if it will entail balancing special development, we have another also unit for that. But I think all of those units will be involved.
Yeah. Mr. Asuncion, I think you have just validated the reason why we have put you there as the lead of the thematic group for urban development, and it is well said. I think that we really have to tighten it. That is something coming from a person who probably has experience and has knowledge on how to approach this issue. And we would welcome any suggestions and proposals on how to tighten the objective of being designed under urban development. And of course, this always has to relate to the housing industry, the housing sector. So if it can be linked and thought of with housing in mind, then that would be the direction that we will be taking. But you have just proven yourself to be worthy of being the lead of the urban and development thematic group. Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to everyone. May I just suggest for urban development, considering that the National Urban Development Framework Plan is being undertaken by HLURB under HUD-C, may I suggest that HUD-C be made co-lead in urban development. They had embarked on the formulation of the National Urban Development Framework Plan for the last 20 years. I think we are reviewing currently the National Urban Development and Housing Framework Plan. And so 2016, it would end in 2016. We're already sitting down with Habitat to look into how we can refocus the National Urban Development and Housing Framework. And so I think HUD-C would be a good agency to co-lead this, or even to lead, NEDA and HUD-C to lead. Thank you.
Oh yeah, we welcome that. Mr. Carino,
Mr. Congressman, we would be happy to relinquish the co-lead to HUD-C, and in exchange, we would like to volunteer ourselves to more commit the thematic group on finance and land and housing. I think we're more relevant in those thematic group. We could contribute more.
Okay. Well, remember when we say lead, hindi naman talaga sila yung may iwang agency dun sa thematic group na yon. Kumbaga itong lead point person lang, kumbaga nagiging ano lang yan eh. Ika nga sa amin lang dito, parang utusan lang or really just a coordinator. So
I think taga-timon.
Basically ganun lang, no? But of course we welcome that. And noted, no, I think we will the private groups, CREVA, will be in governance as a co-lead formally and officially, and we would like
Not governance, Congressman. Land and housing finance.
Okay.
And we would like to relinquish co-lead for
Mr. Carino,
or maybe HUD-C or HLURB.
As you wish. As the more thematic groups that you participate means the more that you will have to contribute tangible and intangible matters. Okay, so we'll have HUD-C as co-lead of the urban development.
Sir, excuse me. Sir.
Yes.
Sir, as OSHDAP also being the premier, if not the only private organization for socialized housing. Sir, among all the themes, I know we've already been part or chosen as a member of all the themes. And since our focus is really on socialized housing, we'd like to, and I know on all the themes, no, we have to segregate the different kinds of needs. We'd like to be the point persons or the point, maybe the lead, no, for socialized housing needs on all of the themes.
Let's do away first with
Maybe not the
sino
lead, sir,
yung
but
lead,
more
sino
like the
ano,
point
no?
person.
Remember, we are just trying to make somebody responsible. Yung tiga follow up, sabi nga ni Senator Nancy Timon, no? So it doesn't mean that as a member your role is diminished from that particular thematic group. It's still there. Don't look at it as if you will be excluded, you will not be able to move around, you don't have the flexibility, you don't have the authority. It's not going to be that. It's really just finding somebody. Sino ba yung kukulitin namin? Sino ba yung ano, di ba? So it will just be convergence of all information and all of that.
Thank you, sir. And I think, sir, what I just wanted to point out is that we will be giving our full commitment and our all our resources to this project, sir, to this endeavor.
And probably, again, let me reiterate, I hope that all the representatives, yung mga point persons, no, to make this really work, kasi makaka-decision ka agad. Diba? Hindi yung, mahirap kasi itong papadala ng representative, tapos laging magtatanong muna, no? So, it will just stall everything, eh. So I just hope that all the agencies concerned will send somebody, the point person already, will assign somebody who can really decide for and behalf of the agencies. Thank you.
Siguro, to add to that, may we request all agencies to at least send a love letter to us officially on who would be the focal person and etc. etc. No, everybody will be soliciting a formal communication so that we have everything in record. No? Senator,
Mr. Chair,
properly designated.
in behalf of the NR, we will just send a formal letter who will be our representative, official representative.
Yes, ma'am. Don't forget tomorrow daw, sabi ni Senator Nancy.
Until 5 p.m.
Siguro kung Albi, maganda din dun sa ano nila, baka may yung kumbaga lead representative and then the alternate para in case that
Siguro yung
Siguro
team,
two
sino ba yung
alternates.
team nyo? Hindi na we will accept hindi lang siguro isa. If you have one and then you have a few more so that you know. But anyway, the agency will probably inform us on it. So, yes.
Yeah, we have to remember that the thematic groups will be meeting concurrently. So if you're a member of 2 or 3 or 4 thematic groups, there is a possibility that the dates would coincide. So you have to designate, if you're a member of 4, at least one each. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes, Miss Asuncion.
Sir, prototype was mentioned earlier. I think that would help in focusing the objectives of the thematic groups. Prototype.
Yes, according to Mr. Jopet, yes daw. Okay. So any questions? We have a launch on May 27. This is, again, let me say it again, that a first of its kind, where the legislative branch is taking the lead, and both houses, the Senate and Congress, is making the initiative to bring everybody together and solving the problems of housing. Yes, Senator.
Kung Albi, siguro just one last point. Yung on the first objective, para it says here, low income in-city housing in Metro Manila. Can we not, kumbaga,
urban cities.
limit it to Metro Manila, but kumbaga national? Because I know for a fact, like Cebu and Davao, may mga ganitong problema na din sila.
Yes, ma'am. Well taken. I think a very good point, and we will definitely change that. The approach of housing will not be limited to Metro Manila. It will have an national in scope. We intend to tackle all the issues confronting the housing sector, whether in Metro Manila or in other parts of the country. Like what was mentioned by Mr. Carino, that the primary objective of the summit will really be addressing the housing backlog that has perennially been haunting us for the past how many decades? 45 years. 25 ba? Kasi akala ko 25 kayo eh. Kaya dapat mas matagal eh. So with that note, yes, let's see.
Sir, for objective 2, sir, I would like to correct, instead of housing backlog, we are using already the housing need. Not only
Housing need?
Yes, sir. Housing need, not already the housing
Okay.
backlog, sir.
For the information of everyone again, part of the output being contemplated by this summit, since it is already being initiated by Congress, we took it upon ourselves to ask all of the different stakeholders to submit a definition of terms. It's a glossary of terminologies and its definition. We noticed that the definition of terms or words actually vary from agency to agency depending kung sino kausap. So we felt that we have to harmonize this and come up with one specific defined definition of this of the terminologies of the words, so that everybody is in the same page. Everybody has the same understanding of what is being meant by this specific terminology. So because it will be done by Congress, we are going through the process, the legislative mill, of enacting a joint resolution, so it will have a strength of law. No, technically, it is it has the backing and the foundation of legislative power or authority or mandate. So for it can actually be used for the BIR, it can be used for alam naman natin yung mga kailangan natin, di ba? And it can also be very helpful in this changing or not changing, but avoiding the confusion because of the different interpretation of the different terminologies being defined by different people. So, ma'am, it will be a joint resolution, House and so we're coming up. So the first congressional joint meeting, we will take this up. We already have a compilation. If you would like to see it, if you'd like to add, if you would like to refine some of the definitions here, please feel free and do so, because once this is enacted into legislation, it will be the same terminology throughout government transactions, dealings, and the like. No? Yan yung isa. Yan yung isa sa mga kailangan. So, kailangan mo na sabihin dito na hindi na backlog, na housing need, yung mga ganun. Kasi, hindi naman pwede kayo lang magsabi ng ganun eh. Hindi naman susunod yung iba eh. Di ba? So, we took it upon ourselves that we will probably enact a legislation so that we are all in the same page, pare-pareho tayo sa lahat kung ano ibig sabihin. And it's a working process. It will be tackled. So those who would like to see this, you know what? siguro, Mr. Jopet, maybe what we can do so that it will be for the appreciation of everyone, we already have a website, no? So we will upload this ano ba yan? In the website for people to comment and make suggestions, to add, voice their objections or concurrence or whatsoever, no? But if you have something really dear to you, you can officially write us. We will accept it and we will put in as an. And you may email it also to us. Our email is what? Okay, but they want to send an email sa atin. So anyway, my email is very simple. It's kongbenitez@gmail.com. So you can course it through there, and then we'll probably pass it to the secretary. Si Senator Nancy, ewan ko, may email ba kayo? Yes.
Sir, of different topic, would we be happy to expect that some current amendments proposed for UDHA in both House would be passed so that during the discussion for this summit and after a series of workshops may have implications?
Yes, we have actually thought that it would be under the thematic group of governance, where the DILG is right now been appointed as the lead agency. We will accept that, and if it is something that is universally accepted by the summit, definitely that is one of those things that us in Congress will do.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Yes, Mr. Charlie.
Clarification, Congressman. About the, okay, we call it need, deficit, or backlog. Do we agree that what we are looking for here is 5.5 million units?
That's another issue that will have to be tackled. Maybe the number of units will vary from one agency to the other. But if we have the convergence of everyone here, we will have to make a benchmark. And that benchmark, I feel, should be a unanimous or everybody agrees that that would be what it is. No? Because you can say it's 5 million based on Creba, 6 million based HADSI, 2 million based DILG.
No, sir. The 5.5 million we heard, it's a congressional record when HADSI declared that the backlog or the need or deficit was 5.5 million. That was our basis on a 5.5 million.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think World Bank has offered to revalidate some of the figures. One of the reasons why we have engaged World Bank was they were to get consultants and foreign and local alike to help us process our discussion and validate some of the figures, data that is being presented in the committee. So hopefully all of those data will be properly validated with the help of World Bank. Yes. Anything else? So far, I think we have made a very good first impression, so to speak, of this housing summit that we are gonna tackle. And on May 27, we will have. By the way, we will also have a series of meetings. We would like to get an honest to goodness PR campaign and media strategy, and for us to expose this. As I've said, we would like the general public to be involved in this so that they have some sort of ownership in this summit that we're holding. So we will be having a series of exposure in the media discussing particularly what we are tackling and what we're talking about. So there will be almost every week, if I'm not mistaken, there will be some segments in mass media where everybody will be given time, a slot to communicate what has been discussed, what has been agreed upon, and what will be something that is worth informing the general public. Huh? So, if any more questions, hearing none, this is not really a formal committee, so we don't have to officially adjourn this, but I'd like first and foremost to thank everyone for coming today. You have just made a big difference in making the housing, arriving at a solution for the housing problem a reality. Maraming salamat.